Oh, can you guys hear me? Please let me know if the sound is okay. If the music is a bit loud. Hey everyone, just give me a second because okay, you're gonna see pretty soon. But let me know if the sound is okay. You don't hear too much noise. Then seems to be alright, right? Okay, let's see if all of this works. A little bit of noise. It's probably my air conditioning. Let me see if I can turn it off a bit. Okay, that should be enough for now. A bit better, right? Okay, let's see if this works. 1, 2. Hey guys, how are you doing? Can you see everything? I hope so, but because dude, this setup was very hard to put together. Oh my god. I had to move everything from my desktop, which is already like always full. In fact, the this space that you are seeing is the only space without cables. Like if you go just 1 millimeter outside of this, it's full of cables. But I made it work. I made it work. Even though, man, I feel like if I bump into anything, everything will collapse. But I'll be very careful. You use AC and gloves at the same time? Yeah. Yeah, I'm continuing the honorable tradition of VTubers not showing their hands. I don't want you guys to be distracted by the amazing engineering of my robot hands, so you have to pay attention to the books. Yeah, I'm glad there's a lot of people here. Like I thought this was going to be um a bit more niche, but I wanted to do this kind of to finish the year, and also um I'll be traveling to visit my parents in a couple of days, so I had to do it now. Otherwise, I will not have my books to show you. But you already showed them, did I? I guess I don't know. But yeah, guys, I'm literally surrounded by piles and piles of books, and I probably have more than what I can show you. But we'll see. Like at first, I was trying to pile them in order, like to progress, kind of, but then it was impossible. So we'll see what we can do. Yes, photos. Oh yeah, probably photos. Yeah, there's some old photos of me around. Okay, hello. There's a lot of people. Yes. Okay, let's begin. And I'm pretty sure that you guys know the very first book I'm going to show you. You have to know because there's no other option. You know what the first book I'm going to show you? Yeah, of course, I'm going to show you this one. There's literally no other option for the first book. This is, of course, the Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams. The very first book that everyone tells you to read when you ask them about animation. They tell you to read this book, and it's, of course, the first book that they'll give you at school. Like every school has this one. Like there's no exception. So, oh, by the way, this is the extended edition. I'm going to show you why later. And I'm not going to go through every page, but I just want to give you like a general, um, like a general view of every single book I'm going to show you. Okay, so we'll see what we have. Thankfully, this book is pretty easy to read. It has a ton of drawings and not a lot of text apart from this like um, kind of historical recollections to put you in context. We have some people talking about Richard Williams, uh, and he kind of begins like explaining you his journey and the people he learned from. And of course, the very first thing that he tells you, and the very first things I tell you, is that you have to know about timing and spacing. And what's the difference? Um, by the way, the camera might have some difficulty focusing sometimes, but it should be to fix itself pretty easily. We have the infamous bouncing ball that everyone has to do at the beginning. I personally hate doing the bouncing ball because it's not that easy to do, honestly. Like when you try to do it, uh, it generally doesn't go excellent at the beginning, and it's also pretty boring. I hated those standard exercises that they give you at school, like for example the floor bag that they make you animate, which is kind of a, I guess, a pretty traditional um, Western animation exercise. I hated that one. I have a silly story about that one, but I'll tell you later. Yeah, I know it will get blurry, but I have it's because of my hands that get in the way of the laser of the camera, but it fixes itself pretty easily. But this is the one of the first things I showed you in the basic animation stream, I think, to teach you about spacing, how we're gonna have the same timing but different spacing, and you achieve acceleration stuff. It's all from here, guys. Yeah, pretty much everything I've taught you, like from the basics, is from here. The the typical story he tells you about Milton Cole, who tells him that he shouldn't listen to music and stuff while animating. The same I told you. And pretty much everything is here. Spacing charts. Even though this is a Western format, it is the same that we use in anime. He's talking about arcs, spacing charts, streams, in betweens. Same spacing charts. Talking about animators that do not do their whole job, like they just do one extreme and the other, and then a ton of in betweens, so that the in between has to do everything. He talks about badly made in betweens. Again, badly made in betweens. Here's when I tell you that you should be clear about your spacing charts. It's because of this. Like he tells you that you should not force your in-betweener to do like odd uh, spaced in-betweens because it's harder for them and you never get the result you want here. The only one that you're kind of allowed to do is one that is very close to the extreme. The same I always tell you. This is the story I always tell you to kind of understand what keys are. The guy that enters to a room, he picks up a pencil or a piece of chalk or a piece of chalk, and then he writes on a board. It's the same. And we have uh, more examples here. Keys, extremes, and contacts, and um, breakdowns, which are basically in between guides in anime. In betweens. A ton of drawings. He's animating in 24, I think. There he would talk about timesheets. These are again warning. These are Western timesheets and very old timesheets. Like these are no longer used pretty much anywhere. But he does a good job explaining you the basics of timesheet. Like, because they all work pretty much the same. There's just format differences. And if we go a bit further, oh, the typical debate of the peg bar going at the top or at the bottom of the page. Richard Williams used it at the top, like animators in Japan, and I personally use it at the bottom because it's easier to flip. It's easier to just change the just flip your pages when the peg bar is at the bottom. But honestly, the result is the same. He says because he uses it at the top because at the bottom, like you kind of bump your arm when you're using a disc, and that's true, but you can get around that. We have some notes about uh, perspective and spacing. The the example of the in between guide or the breakdown when someone turns their head, and I always tell you that they kind of do a blink and they look down. It's also from here, and um, studios in Japan they also ask you to do this. Like it's not just Western stuff. Again, bad bad in betweens here and here. Very very fun examples. Talks about arcs, uh, extending drawings to make impacts more visible. Uh, Kind of stretch to squash. I've told you before that Richard Williams doesn't really talk about the 12 principles of animation like other schools, but he mentions some of the same stuff because they they are kind of universal. Smears. Doing smears are is very fun. I was one of the few animators in my school that used smears, and everyone laughed when I when we went frame by frame, and you get this these weird drawings with multiple eyes. It's funny. Okay, just going a bit further. The thing that this book has the most is walks. A ton of different walks. You don't have to learn them all, of course, but they're excellent exercises. You just basically use walks to explain you um, different stuff you can do with animation. How you can, I don't know, rearrange your keys or change the spacing or do some secondary action. I'll try for it to focus. I'll make this. Oh, that's the trick. About half of the book is about walks. Yes, pretty much. Runs, jumps. The thing is, walks are pretty much the most difficult thing that you can animate. Everything else is easier. But one of the smart ways to use this book is kind of a book of recipes. You don't have to learn all of this, but it's good that you know that they are here. So, for example, if you eventually have to, I don't know, animate a horse or something, you know that it's on this book, and you don't waste time looking somewhere else. Oh, and that's why it is the extended edition, because this one has uh, animal walks. That's what the other previous books do not have, but now most of them are the extended edition. It has a lot of examples, and they're very very simple. Honestly, like he's great at explaining you very simply how all of this works. Oh, and the talks about the DVDs, uh, which we probably have already watched the DVDs at some point. They're great. They're great. Maybe sometimes easier than reading the book, but you still have to read it. So animal movement and just a ton of useful stuff. Again, a lot of people get um, turned off by the cover because they think, oh, this is like very cartoony stuff. Like no, but this is the this is the very basic for Western animation and Japanese animation. Studios in Japan have the Japanese version of this, like every studio. So that's pretty much all you need to know. Okay, let me read the chat. Now I have to look at the side because I have to move my screen. I have to really turn to the side to. Some beats never finishing this book will never make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe he didn't do all of the exercises. Like I don't think I've done all of the exercises here either, but I certainly went through them all. Oh, the video version of the survival kit, yes, that's the DVD. So reading and practice the same time while the book. Um, I don't know what that means, but you should read it, and try to do at least the basic exercises. And again, you will know that the other more complex formulas are here in case you need them. There's even one about like animating spiders, which is very specific, but it's very useful that it's here. Really wish the DVDs weren't out of print. Oh, I didn't know they were out of print. That's that's terrible, actually. You can probably get them still, like if you want them physical, you can get them in A or something. So I remember they were not uh, cheap at all. They were actually very expensive. Insane. Survival Kid and The Illusion of Life are the best storybooks for animation. Teach all the fundamentals. Prison Break also, but it's full of, not as full of fear. The Kid of the Illusion of Life. Yeah, I've talked about the difference between this one and The Illusion of Life. The Illusion of Life is a great book, but it's more of a historical recollection, like kind of to put you into the context of how animation got kind of standardized, beginning from Disney. Uh, so that one is the historical book, and this one is the technical book. I of course read the other one, but I have this one. The other one I don't have a physical copy of the Illusion of Life because I already read it. It's a great book. Okay, but I don't know if you noticed, but this book is lacking something very important actually, which I think is justified because it is a very thick book. Like, and it's pretty heavy. If it had an extra, it would be even heavier. But the thing that it is lacking is effects. Did you guys notice? Even though I know that Richard Williams is pretty proficient in effects, you just have to watch the Thief and the Cobbler. It doesn't teach about effects on the book, but for that you can get this ones. You guys seen this one before? It's called Elemental Magic by Joseph Gillen. Joseph Gillen was the head of special effects at Disney for a long time, and these books are beautiful. There are two books. I have the two here. These books are really beautiful. They're very deep, actually. Even though they look they have a lot of drawings and not too much text. They are not an easy read because the author is trying to teach you how to visualize fluids. That's basically what this book is about. Um, because most effects are fluids, either liquids or gases. Of course, you have other stuff like electricity and solids, but most of them are gases and or fluids. So that's what he's trying to teach you most in this books. And as I said, like they are not that easy. Like, look, he spends a lot of time talking about how elements interact with each other, uh, how gases heat and then they get cold and they create different effects with that. But yeah, like the first time I had to animate effects in anime, I think it was for Black Clover, and I had to animate I don't remember if it was electricity or smoke, something like that. And I said like, oh no worries, I have the elemental magic books here, and it was not possible because they were there. This book is too complex to get an answer like immediately from it. You really have to get some time to absorb it. So what I did, I went to Sakugabaru and found a reference that looked like what I needed, and I copied it. Of course, I didn't like plagiarize it, but I copied, I don't know, the timing or the kind of little rough poses. I got something like what I needed. So this is the first book, and this is the second one. Pretty much a continuation of the other. Again, beautiful drawings. All of these drawings are from him. He did all of the drawings. But yeah, like if you want to read this, you should take your time because I mean, look at this. It's not something that you can just come here and learn immediately. It has quite a bit of science, but very cool books. Very beautiful to look at. You sleep when I seriously. It's not. It's not. It's Jujutsu Jujutsu Brony is saying, can you tell me where I can learn anime animating from this YouTuber? Are you talking about me or someone else? Well, if you're talking about me, you can learn in this channel. I have more videos and streams, and we talk about anime a lot. You can learn here. Uh, Animation in games is asking: is effects animation specialized animation roles, or do character animators need to do effects animation as well? In anime, uh, animators do pretty much everything. Uh, you do effects. There's no like a difference between character animators and effects animators in Japan, unless we're talking about something very very specialized, like I don't know, Steam Boy. Do you guys watch that movie? That movie certainly had like dedicated effects animator, but because it was a very specific thing, right? But in general, uh, uh, an animator for the Japanese industry is expected to do its own effects. Not so much in the West. In the West, there's generally dedicated effects animators and even effects departments. A bit different. Maybe like Arcane. Yeah, yes, I haven't watched Arcane yet. Let me know if it's good. I'm watching a lot of stuff currently, uh, and I watch a lot of movies. Currently, I'm trying to watch the 2003 Astro Boy. Have you guys watched that series? It looks amazing. I didn't know I didn't know it existed, but I didn't know the quality was so great. It looks like a movie on every episode, and it has like 50 episodes. So I'll go slowly through that one, and then I'll go watch something else. Um, and this is another book that's kind of a fundamental, at least for me. This is the Studio Ghibli layout collection. Now we're getting a bit more Japanese in our stuff. Have you guys seen this book? I bought this in on eBay. A lot of people buy it when they visit the Ghibli museum. I think that's the only. No, no, that's not true. I saw it in um like bookstores in Japan too. This one is sadly in Japanese. I think they're all in Japanese. I haven't seen one in English. But the good thing is that Google Lens can translate all of this pretty well, like without any problem. And before we go through this, if you want to buy this book, for example, on eBay or something, make sure you're buying the latest edition possible, because every few years they add movies to it, and sometimes they added like extra like additional pages. Um, so yeah, if you buy one that is older, you might not have some of the movies here. This one has up until Kaguya or something. I think this one has pretty much almost all of them. But look, it has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of layouts. Again, warning for people that are studying animation. These are very old formatted layouts. This is how layouts used to be um, in Japan like 30 years ago. The thing is, Studio Ghibli kind of exists in a bubble of itself, and they still use this format of layout. What's the difference? That they do the whole layout in one page, uh, and we in anime separate everything on several layers, especially now that we work on digital. And we when we say we do layout now, we also mean that we're doing the key animation, even though they're technically different. Studio Ghibli does very specifically layout, and then they go to key animation, which I think is the best way to do it. But I don't have a say in that kind of stuff. We have Nausicaa, Castle in the Sky. So if you want to see like the gold standard of layout, especially when it comes to like rendering and drawing and composition and all of that, you have to get this book. I use it all the time when I need references for whatever, like clouds, plants, machines, and everything. I always pick up this book, and I generally get what I want from it. This is Totoro, I guess. Yeah, everything is done in with colored pencils. I remember in when I was going to school, I loved using colored pencils, uh, and all of my uh, all of my fellow students were doing things in in digital, like way more efficient than I. But I was doing everything in paper just because I enjoyed it. We have some Takahata movies too. Um, what's the name of this movie? Oh no, only yesterday. Look at that. Can you guys see the pineapple? It's just so extremely detailed. Oh, and I know some of this are pretty small, but when I read this kind of stuff, I generally use one of these, and you would be surprised how dense some of these prints are. You can actually get way more information when you look through one of these, not just to be quirky. Especially this book. This book has very good prints. You can look way closer to it. This is ocean waves. Do you guys know the story about ocean waves? Why it exists? On focus. So ocean waves was supposed to be a it was supposed to be a pilot to see if Studio Ghibli was able to do an anime series. And spoiler alert, they were not able to because it ended up being extremely expensive. Uh, a lot of people do not like ocean waves, but I really like it. It's peak 90s animation, very nostalgic. As I said, like everything, pretty much everything you need for background, for layout, trees, grass, bushes. You can find it all here, like at the best standard. I mean, it even has a on your mark, like kind of that rare video clip. It only has a couple of them. But it has a ton of Princess Mononoke stuff. And look, some of the layouts are actually pretty rough, which is also a good reference because we sometimes when we animate or when we're beginning, we're afraid that our stuff is too rough. But as I always say, you can be rough and at the same time very precise with the things that are important. And these are very good samples of rough looking layouts that are actually still pretty good. Totally different from stuff like this. Like, look at the detail of those backgrounds. But again, if you're doing layout now, you probably do not need this amount of detail. As I said, like Studio Ghibli exists kind of in a bubble of production methods, so they do their own stuff. So many amazing layouts. Might never do Yamadas. I haven't watched this movie yet, but my parents love it. Just haven't had the chance to watch it. And even if the characters are simpler and the style is different, the layouts are still amazing. Have Spirited Away. Again, some of the layouts are look pretty rough, but they're just what is needed for the cut. Good. There's ones that are actually like, and I think they're from a specific animator. Oh, this one is interesting. This one has extra poses, so that's like the general layout, and then he has some extra poses. They do that sometimes too when composition changes a lot in one cut. They add some extra cheats. Again, flower references stuff. This these layouts with like tall buildings and stuff, they're crazy because I don't know if you guys have seen. There's a very rare Japanese documentary when they ask Hayao Miyazaki specifically about layouts and stuff like perspective and stuff, and Miyazaki said like, yeah, I just fake it all the time because as long as it looks good, perspective doesn't have to be like precise. So I always think about that when I look at this kind of layouts. Could I go a bit faster? We could be here for hours and hours. Just looking at this stuff. Look at the amount of stuff in the background. Look at all the books and all of the details. Is insane. Oh, and as I said, like sometimes the book has this extra pages for movies they just add and they don't want to make a new book, so they just add those pages. In a bit, I'm going to read the chat. Look at this. This is one of the most iconic cuts of the movie, which is actually it actually ended up being CGI, but they still made the layout um, by hand. It's incredible. Like I can't imagine being this good, make something this beautiful, so beautiful that it's worth like storing. A lot of these materials end up in the trash, tragically. I don't know if Studio Ghibli has like a policy of storing some of them, probably for the museum. I know they sometimes have like exhibitions at the museum with layouts and stuff. Another one of the most important cuts of the movie. It's great to see like how they planned all of this. They have a lot of notations that we still use, like kumis. I always talk about kumis, like register lines, books, BG slides, same stuff we use now. What else do we have? Ghiblis. I think this is the that was kind of a short. Oh, this is a Howl's Moving Castle. These are amazing too. I think these are in Howl's Moving Castle. They kind of reach the top of their ability because they're just amazing. Look at the kitchen. And as far as I've heard, like they give the layout artists sometimes a lot of um, freedom when doing this kind of layouts, like when inventing backgrounds and stuff. I've heard that they have quite a lot of freedom. It's a specific cut that I wanted to show you because I always use it as a reference. This one. Every time I have to draw like very detailed clouds and stuff, I look at this cut. It's the best reference there is. On this one, I've shown you a lot of times with the sliding books clouds um, in the background. Oh, and Howl's. Look at Howl's bedroom. Like they actually drew every single one of those trinkets he has. I wonder how much time did they take them up? How many times they had to like just throw it to the trash and start again? Probably Miyazaki did that a ton of times. We have Ponyo. All of them amazing. If you eventually like later in the stream you want to come back to something, you can tell me on the in the chat, and I'll try to come back to show you. We have App from Poppy Hill, from Heo's son. I actually like this movie a lot. It's pretty nice. Oh, and this part is very interesting because these are older layouts from Heidi and all of the stuff that Miyazaki did with Takahata when they were just beginning their careers. These are very very interesting layouts. Again, if you want references for rough looking layouts, these are amazing. So if sometimes you're out of time but you still have to do a layout and stuff like that, you can look at this and say like, does it look as decent as this one? And if yes, you're probably right. Back in, so I don't doing it. Amazing stuff. So simple, but at the same time so precise. Marco, this is Future Boy Conan, I guess. Yep. Oh, this movie! I actually began watching this movie and I didn't watch the ending because I had to work. I have to finish it. Uh, Takahata movie, very old. It was very funny, very very good comedy. Sherlock Hound, yes. Some of this book I haven't opened in a good time. The Wind Rises. You see, this one is pretty recent, even though The Wind Rises can is like a 10-year-old movie already, but not like Ghibli makes movies that often either. I wish it has more Princess Kaguya layouts. It has very few of them. Because they're still that they're amazing. In my opinion, this movie, Princess Kaguya, is the only movie that kind of gets closer in quality to the Thief and the Cobbler. It's, to me, it's the only one that's kind of comparable. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff. So yeah, again, if you want to buy this book, make sure you buy the latest possible one, so that you get all the movies you can inside of it. Read the chat for a bit. Oh, a lot of questions. What's the book called again? Oh, which book? I've showed you the Animator Survival Kit and Elemental Magic 1 and 2. Those are the books that I've showed you. And this is Studio Ghibli Layout Collection. You can find it like that on the The book title. What do you enjoy animating most? Characters, animals, or effects? I like animating characters with subtle acting. I don't really like animating too much, like action and stuff. I know how to do it, but it's not what I like the most. I like subtle acting, like facial expressions, stuff like that. That's what I like the most. And it's also a bit less work. uh, Possible to post links of these books too. I don't have them all digital. If you want to buy them, you can just Google them. Like they're very available. But if they're digital around, I'm pretty sure that the links should already be there on the Discord because there has been a lot of activity uh, when it comes to. Well, that was the standard practice for a long time, even on the anime. Yeah, yeah. And like these are like layouts formats from like 30 years ago. There's a rumor going around that KyoAni still uses this format, but we don't know too much about KyoAni Productions anyway, so no way to know. The current system is mainly uh, focused on the benefit for the editors, and it's hard to cut in without timesheet. Yeah, training. I need PDFs of this. There's probably some. Is this link going to be on archive? No, it's going to stay here. Are those for reference, right, or for learning too? I guess they're kind of the same. I look at this one pretty often, and whenever I need something like to reference, I know that I have it. Uh, Let me go quickly through some of the other comments. Sorry again, like I really have to turn myself to the other side. My neck is kind of killing me. This might be a bit behind, but you mentioned that the animator survival kit of that book, but the first I feel like everyone gets is Preston Blair's How to Draw Cartoon Books. Yeah, a lot of people find that one first, which is good. But again, Preston Blair is very old format animation. Is like very beginning of the past century. So it could be good, but I personally think that the Animator Survival Kit is a better starting book. Because it has more uh, deeper basics than the Preston Blair. I also read the Preston Blair a couple of times too at school, but I still prefer the Survival Kit to begin with. Somehow, just about everyone I know has a Preston Blair book. In physical, it I don't have it in physical, but I certainly have it around. Any advice for background layout references? Yeah, use this one. This is pretty much the best you can get for background layout. Um, for background layout in general, that's kind of a big topic, right? Like there's specialized people that do background layouts when they're more complex. Like there's people that specialize in that. But for references in general, I think this one is the best book you can get. What books on animation do people in Japan use? The Animation Survival Kit. um, Books that they use that we don't use in the West. I don't think there's too much of that. There's now some animators doing some specific books, for example, about effects and stuff like that. But there's it's not anything that you cannot learn from looking at references like on Sakugabaru or stuff like that, or that you cannot learn from the elemental magic stuff. It's pretty much it's not the same, but it's pretty similar. And if you know your basics very well, jumping from Western styles to Japanese style is not not difficult either. I'm late. Because I want to know how different in terms of priority of the fundamentals. Do they focus way more on from the book they learn? I think that the fundamentals that they that one should focus are the same. Um, First, you have to learn how to draw very well so that you don't waste time trying to draw something while you are supposed to be animating. And then you have to have your basics like your timing and spacing and composition, stuff like that. Pretty much the same I teach you. And you can learn that from Western and Japanese books, pretty much the same. But again, a lot of Japanese studios just have these same books on their shelves. So do not get anxious like trying to look like what are the Japanese like using that we don't know, like some secret books. No, they use pretty much the same. What are your favorite movies or shows to reference for action or comedy? Wow, there's a lot. I think it depends on the case, but I'll think about it. Maybe I'll come up with something a little later. Is there any Japanese book that is helpful or just study Western books? I would begin with Western books. I myself do not read Japanese like that well, so I do not go through all of the Japanese books so uh, deeply. But as far as I've seen, like from stuff on Amazon or stuff that just surrounding the internet, they have pretty similar information. I still prefer the Western books to begin with. Okay, I'm going to continue because guys, really you don't visualize how many books I have here, and then I'll continue reading the chat. Um, um, because the previous book again, it's pretty recent, but not the most recent. I had to buy this one too. This is from the Boy and the Heron, like the latest Miyazaki movie, and this is great. This one also has like backgrounds and some character stuff, like typical Miyazaki um, concept art, character art, character art, and with watercolors and some more official sete. Great to see. A lot of backgrounds and a lot of layouts too. Look. It's very interesting to when you have these two books, the previous one I show you and this one, to see how similar, but at the same time how different the the layouts are. They use basically the same principles, kind of the same format, but you can see that the generation of people has changed. I think we have too much light. You guys probably can't see anything. What I can do, if I move it around. Backgrounds, layouts. You can clearly see when you compare the books that the layouts for this movie are way rougher than the ones from the other movies. Still like amazing layouts, but they are way rougher. And you can see when you compare them with the backgrounds that the background team really carried on this one. You can see a lot of corrections that the background team did from layout to the final background. You can kind of deduce what was happening during the production. Again, probably because there were new people, as you know, like Studio Ghibli closed several times, and when that happens, a lot of people get laid off, right? And I imagine a lot of the people that worked on this movie, they're new, or at least new for the studio. And also, I imagine Miyazaki wasn't able to um, go through all of the corrections he would have wanted because he's just too old. So we had a bunch of different animation directors here, and that's clearly visible. Yeah, some concept art by Miyazaki, watercolors. Maybe I shouldn't spoil you this movie too much because it's pretty recent. But I'll show you just a bit more. Oh, and this movie is way more digital than the others. Uh, you'll notice that a lot of the backgrounds here are completely done digitally instead of with poster colors as the previous one. That's kind of a interesting change because they look as good as poster colors, which is rare. Generally, digital backgrounds sometimes look a bit off compared to the traditional ones. And the digital effects were very very nice too, like these fires and stuff. They look very nice on screen. Okay, I'm not going to spoil you more. I'm not going to spoil you this movie anymore. But very very beautiful book. What should I show you next? I was saying Boy and the Heron, a movie with a great visuals and animation. However, I don't like the writing. Besides that, can't deny it's a beautiful looking movie. Yeah, some people find the writing a bit awkward. I generally find that with Miyazaki though. Like Miyazaki is a very special guy when it comes to writing and directing their stuff. So, for example, a lot of time I watched Holt's Moving Castle a lot of times, and like the first 10 times I watched it, I didn't like it, but now I kind of like it a lot. Okay, look, these are very interesting. These are one of the ones that were on the thumbnail. These are the groundworks they call them, but it's the key animation of the end of Evangelion. It's two books, and these are very interesting because these are basically new old stock. Um, there is new editions of this one. You can buy them new on the in stores in Japan, but these ones were stored without any use from 2002 until I bought them like a few years ago. So they're very very old. You can see the I even kept the original bags. Like they're just uh, super deteriorated, but it's very cool that they're this old and they're basically like new. Take a brief look to both of them. Not to destroy the bags. Okay, like it's not that they're that important. You have some illustrations at the beginning. And stuff. It's very interesting that when still like in the present, when studios do illustrations for like I don't know wallpapers or magazines and stuff, they do it in the same pipeline that they do the animation. Like they do a layout first, and then they do Genga, and then they send it to the coloring department. Like it's not just one guy doing everything most of the time. And this is all. This one have a lot of different stuff mixed together. Um, there is layout here. There's Genga. There's a lot of Sakan too. But sadly, the Japanese have this. Um, I don't know how to call it, but this tendency to just blacken everything. To just bring all of these materials in black and white for their art books, and I think that's kind of a crime because the colors give you a lot of important information. I don't know if they do it because of like saving ink or something, but I really think it's kind of a shame that they do it. Still, very very interesting stuff. But it would be nice to be able to see more easily. Like, is this Genga? Is it layout? Is it Sakan? Soul Sakan? One interesting thing about this book, which is very good, is that some of them they have timesheets. Look at this. They have Japanese timesheets, and you can see how all of these drawings are distributed. Very 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 useful. I used this one a lot for when I was at school too, just to help me understand how all of this worked while I was LARPing about being a Japanese animator. And look at this timesheet, kind of a nightmare. I've done some timesheets like this before too. Like I think most animators get to do something like this eventually. Oh, but of course this is some uh give us 02 scenes, so they're probably very complex. They're amazing. Sometimes I just spend hours looking at this. Generally, when I have to go to sleep, and then I don't sleep at all. But there's so much cool information inside of this. Some Mitsuo Iso cuts. Yeah, some of these drawings are just rough key animation, and then you get the corrections on the other page. And I wish we had the colors for this kind of stuff. Look at this one. This is the roughest layout ever. Basically just stickman. It was very common here in Evangelion too. Only because they didn't have much time to do it. There were just like many um options, they were kind of a mess. Look, here's a layout drawing. Here's the Sakan correction. You see there's correction kanji there. But if they had the sheet colors, it would be easier to notice. Look at these expressions. Great stuff. It's also very good for referencing, like shading and just expressions and anatomy stuff. I consciously and unconsciously copy this stuff all the time. You can see, you can see my and the shorts that I've directed over the years, like the ones for Whole Life and for Niji Sanji. Uh, Recently for Face Connect, I reference this stuff all the time. Again, both consciously and unconsciously. So that was the first book, and the second book is even more interesting. And I have to figure out how to pile all of this back. Otherwise, they'll just uh, lapse. This one is my favorite. It's so good. You see, this is how most of those drawings should look, like with the original like Genga colors. They just don't want to show us that. I don't know why. I wish I could ask like an editor or something. Why they just print almost all of it in black and white. There's just a few of them with color, mostly illustrations. Here we have like all of the third impact stuff, which is the third impact of the end of Evangelion is like crazy animation. So it's very interesting to see like what's behind all of that. You see, here's a layout. You can see because it's everything together, pretty much like in the Ghibli book, and it has it has notations and instructions, and this is a sakan for that same pose. We have we have keys and in between guides, the ones with the triangle that we always talk about, that are a bit rougher. A lot of uh, very exotic spacing charts, like this one. Look at this one; it's kind of crazy. I wouldn't recommend again to bend your spacing charts like this. Honestly, we at school we had a unending debate of about whether this were spacing charts, like real spacing charts, or just logins, which are like rough indications of spacing that you do that are not actually spacing charts. We really don't know. I hope they're not real spacing charts because they're kind of a nightmare to read. I couldn't imagine trying to in between something like that. Another layout. Some of these are by Hideaki Anno. You have to search for his signature. I think this one isn't. I love that face. Yeah, some of these are keys. Some of these are sakan. This one is probably Inshutsu. Has a It's very rough with a lot of indications. Again, uh, very questionable spacing charts. There's some even worse uh, a bit ahead. Another layout and sakan for those poses. Look at these faces. So cool. When I finish this, I'm going to read the chat. Don't worry. I see kind of the chat moving slowly besides me, but I have to finish this first. Oh, I looked at this notation a bit before. It's about it's telling you that there's only cell in the camera, like you cannot see the background. Just an interesting notation. Layouts. Lakan. This scene is so good. The drawings, they're impeccable. Very meme worthy. This. Look at how rough this is. Very rough. I don't know if I would accept something like this. Probably if it's just a few drawings instead of layout. Look at that. It's kind of insane. This one is probably still readable, but I don't know. Like honestly, I don't know if they're actually just fixing charts or else. Look, this is a Hideaki Anno uh, layout. Hideaki Anno's layouts are not the most beautiful around. Probably because if Hideaki Anno, who's the director, has to do layout, it probably means that they're in trouble and they don't have anyone else to do it. You can see you can kind of see his signature here. It happens the same with me when I'm directing something and I have to if I have to do layout, we're kind of in trouble. Quicker. You guys actually watched this movie and I'm not spoiling you everything, but again, this is kind of a 30-year-old movie already. You have no excuse. Very, very cool. I've always liked I mentioned this on Twitter at some point. I've always liked the graphic design of Evangelion. It's very simple but very, very iconic and very, 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 very good. I really like it. Sete, props. Look at how detailed this is. Crazy. And they look just as good in the movie. Yeah, amazing books. And they're even more special because they're so old. Okay, let's look at the set. What's a good way for resources for Western animators to learn the anime production process? This channel. A lot of people told me that this is one of the very, very few places where they can learn anime stuff. I learned it the hard way. I had to very slowly transition from Western to anime when I was learning, but I think the streams that we have already done and that the ones that were done before me, I think they're probably one of the best resources on the internet to learn to transition from Western to anime. Animator and survival kits is the fundamental. Yeah. Do you by chance know the dimensions of paper that were used for layouts? I'm so curious, especially how they fit so many details in. Yeah, if we're talking about anime in general and the ones from the Studio Ghibli, they're A4. They're not big sheets, surprisingly. Not like Disney, for example, that uses way bigger sheets. Japanese just use A4. Um, Even some countries do not have A4. For example, I use when I used to do traditional animation, I would use just letter, um, which is similar. There's also the animator survival guide for iPhone. It has all the animation examples, and you can frame by frame. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had an. Someone saying figure. I did hear that anime focuses more on force rather than character based animation. Yeah, it depends. I think it's a bit deeper than that. Anime has its own uh cinema language that's kind of different for Western. It's not that they focus more on this or on that. They just make characters act different because they just tell their stories a bit different. With her movie, the great visuals animation. Oh, legendary slugging scene. Those drawings are amazing. I always wanted to be an animator. Spacing chart is the same as timing chart? No, they are not the same. Here's something if you want the complicated explanation, you can go to the, I think we talked about in the basic animation stream, but spacing charts and timing charts are not the same. A lot of people mix them. They call spacing charts timing charts without really thinking too much about it, but they are not the same. They are not the same. I'll eventually can explain you again in some other videos. Um, but it's kind of a complicated explanation, so I won't do it now. I enjoyed the end of Evangelion. Yeah, it's one of my favorite. The use of typography in Eva was inspired by the live-action director called Kon Ishikawa. I heard something about that, I think. And recently, there was a very good article going through especially the typography of the end of Evangelion. Maybe I should look for it again and retweet it. It was very good. Man, we haven't go through not even a third of the books I have here. What time is it? It's been an hour and a half. Okay, what should I show you next? Maybe I should show you something more recent. Because I've shown you all the old stuff. I have to move some of this stuff around. Okay, some of you guys are going to like this ones a lot. The Jujutsu Kaisen animation, Volume 1, Volume 2, and the movie. I bought this one a couple of years ago in the Anime Expo in LA. I go there basically just to buy books. I talk to people, but I always end up buying a lot of books. These are way closer to the stuff that you will do at your work as a modern animator. I'm going to show you a bit. I think it's good that I ended up using gloves because the heat is kind of killing me. So I'll probably just stain all the books. And the interesting thing about these ones are the some of them are on pencil and some of them are digital. We have a few layouts, but mostly Genga. And impressive how they still use a lot of traditional uh, paper and pencil in Japan. I have some Soul of Sagan. Thankfully, these books are in full color, so you can instantly see what step of the production they are. Genga, layout. Now we have a lot of digital. See, these are just CSP stuff or T paint. They look way different when you just look at the Genga, but on screen they look pretty much the same. The same as traditional. You have some full sequences, which are useful because you have the keys, the in between guides and stuff. You can piece them together. This is so funny. Did you guys notice that for some reason they draw Gojo with glossy lips? It's the only character they do that. Look. and in the anime, it's not even noticeable. Like you have to look very very closely to see those lips in the anime. I don't know why they do that. It's very funny. It looks very funny when you look at the Genga. Again, very digital stuff. Here you can see a lot of people ask me about the Genga colors. Like what are the very exact colors that we have to use when we do Genga or layouts and stuff? My answer is that it doesn't really matter that much as long as it is consistent and it's not like a big mess. You generally know that shadows tend to be some kind of blue. Highlights tend to be yellow or red. Uh, Sometimes you can do you can separate the shadows. For example, skin shadows can be kind of skin color stuff, but you will see a lot of variation depending on the animator. And again, as long as you don't really make a mess, like you don't like do the exact opposite that other people do, it's generally all right. Uh, we generally use more pastel colors because the Japanese still like to print their stuff, and we don't want to destroy their printers. So that's why we use pastel colors. See, very very muted down colors, not that saturated. Let's try to focus a bit more. Camera. Layouts. This layout is crazy. Look, a lot of detail. Very very solid too. Of course, they choose the best of the best drawings for this kind of books. Because man, if you saw some of the layouts that these productions get, some of them are not suited to show to the public. That's why they generally choose Genga rather than layout. They just put very few layouts because layouts are not pretty a lot of the time. Look at that Sakan. Great. One cool thing about being a Sakan is that you can kind of give yourself some time to do cool stuff like this. When you're doing layout, sometimes you just don't have time to do it. Full Sakan. A lot of Sakan. Again, it's interesting to see that sometimes in the same sequence you get different animators, and some of them are digital and some of them are traditional. That's It's very interesting to see the contrast. Very very great drawings. Again, mainly Genga because they're already corrected, so they're kind of suitable to Cho. This one is interesting. Very like painterly style. The other books, the other two books are kind of the same. I can show them to you at the end if you want, because we have to go through a lot of more, a lot more books. Oh, these ones are very, very good. Let me read the chat before. Continue. The typography of Eva and Monogatari are from the same font family that's used in Ishikawa's film. Oh, really? Great that you're talking about Monogatari because something is coming regarding that. Century is saying, nice, those are pricey to get now. You mean the Jujutsu Kaisen ones? They were not they were not cheap either when I bought them. I think they were like $60 each. when I bought them, or 50 or something like that. was it was not cheap. I was just about to ask the question about that for the Genga colors. Nice. That's your answer. Uh, if you really want to be safe about the colors, like you really don't want to risk like doing something weird, um, copy the colors of the sete. Okay, the sete they give you, the most likely give you some sete with Genga colors. Just copy those, and that's the safest way to get around the Genga colors. Okay. Um, Brooks is saying, and it's a pity because you can pick up so much valuable information in the layout. When everything is usually cleaned up in the Genga, it's quite a challenge to find a way to find way rough drawings sometimes. Yeah, I agree. But again, Japanese companies and book publishers and stuff, they just want to show you pretty stuff. Um, Even though we buy these books to study, like as really academic material, they're probably uh, aimed more at fans rather than um, animation professional students, which is kind of a pity, but it is what it is. And we still get good information from them. You just have to look a bit harder. Uh, Temple Sparks is saying, at least importing the books from Proxies is better than buying them off eBay for 10 times the price. Yeah, I know. I know eBay can be very, very expensive. Tell me that because I look at books on eBay all the time, but sometimes the books are so rare that you can not get them anywhere else. I have the impression that animation isn't as theoretical as drawing. Is that true? Um, I don't know really because animation includes drawing, so you have to know both. About theory, you can go as deep as you want. Honestly, like um, animation is a very very deep topic. Like you can get to a basic level when you're able to do a lot of stuff. But if you want to get into exotic like esoteric animation, you can also like get very deep into theory. Okay, these ones are some of my favorite. These are keyframes and corrections from Yoshihiko Umakoshi, and they're 2 volumes. These ones are amazing, and I wish they were bigger, but honestly, they're just so good as they are. Look, um, we have everything. We have layout, Genga, Sakan, Soul Sakan, all by the same guy, which is kind of crazy. Some very old Doremi stuff. Uh, you can see they're very old because they have like this old square format for television. These are probably in black and white just because they're scanned like that like a few decades ago. And you have more modern stuff. You guys see? It's had something like a money focus there. Try to keep it there. Oh, this is one of the reasons I really like this book. Getting materials from Mushishi is very, very hard. At least it was a few years ago before I found this ones. These ones had a ton of Sosakan corrections from Mushishi. They're amazing. They're so solid. it was it was really like a big discovery when I found this. I bought this at Kinokuniya in LA, and I don't remember how much they cost. I just have to buy them. I think it was like $50 each. Look at them. It's a ton of them. But before this, getting materials from this series was very, very, very hard. And we have a ton of My Hero Academia stuff. These drawings are very good too. They're very, very energetic, but at the same time, they're very solid. Look at that. You have to be a very special guy to do Soul Second with a permanent marker. Very, very cool. And again, look at how solid the characters are. Well, I guess if you're doing Soul Second, you have to do this good, right? These ones are very cool. Like the simpler they are, the cooler, in my opinion. It probably takes just a few minutes to do each one of these. Like, if you look at them closer, they're very, very simple drawings. They're just so precise that they look amazing no matter how simple they are. And of course, we have to consider that if he's doing Soul Sakan, he probably already has a very good Sakan drawing under it from other people. So that also helps to draw better and faster. Because you're not beginning the drawing from the very beginning. Just you're just correcting some stuff, moving some stuff around. Another marker correction. Look at that. And you have to be a very, very brave guy to do that. Very confident in your lines. If you want to, if you want to like really grasp like anime style, copying stuff like this is an excellent exercise. And if you buy a book like this and or two like I have, you have stuff to copy for years. Literally, do one every day, and you'll be a great animator in no time. You can copy one of these in 10 minutes. Really, really great. The other one is kind of the same. Again, a lot of Doremi stuff. Some of them are very rough, but again, equally as good. Oh, this one has a lot of Precure stuff. Very, very stylized. This this generation of Precure I like a lot because they're so cartoony and they look so good. Very, very nice drawings. And again, look how simple some of they are. When I tell people that second corrections do not have to be extremely detailed. Like I talk about this. Like you don't have to spend hours doing lines extremely precise and stuff to make a good drawing or a good correction. This is what I try to do when I do second myself. Like be quick and precise at the same time. Beautiful, beautiful drawings. Again, a lot of Mushishi stuff. Look at that basic detail. Dude, being a soul second of Mushishi is like the ultimate flex. You have to be the most solid guy ever to do these drawings like this consistently. Because they're very realistic humans, right? You cannot hide uh a lot of mistakes like with more cartoony characters. And again, My Hero Academia, a lot of marker stuff. Oh, this is from the that fight. I like that fight a lot when Deku fights the other guy. These ones, I'm pretty sure they're still very available if you want to buy them. These two books, I see them around very often. You should totally get them because they're great. Okay, I'll read the chat for a bit. You guys have been talking a lot. You guys are talking among yourselves. The Doremi stuff is so good. The way he's able to draw the face in perspective, with heavily deformed characters is so impressive. Yeah, right. What was this book called again? They're called very specifically animation keyframe arts of Yoshihiko Umakoshi, and they're 2 volumes. What they called. Guys, so great in line work. There's a video of Umakoshi drawing on Nico Nico Doga, and his speed is insane. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'll search for it. Yeah, imagine his speed is inhuman. If I have one artist I'd like to draw like one day, Yo Yoshinari. Even I own some original animation frames from my little witch. Do you have any advice for when it comes to copying drawings? Advice for copying drawings. You can look at my basic drawing stream, and there I pretty much explain you how you do it. Like it's pretty much the same. The same method I use for everything. Like drawing people and drawing from models and just in plain air and copying from this kind of stuff. I do it the exact same way. It's the same method. Um, so you can look at that if you want to go a bit deeper on that. Trace. uh, Tracing. Okay, tracing is useful sometimes if you want to do a lot of volume, or if you need to study something kind of faster. But honestly, between copying and tracing, I think tracing will give you about the 20% of the results of copying. And copying, honestly, will not take you that much more time than tracing if you're um, used to it. So, in my opinion, just stick to copying if you can. Again, you can trace if you're, I don't know, tired or you want to just go through something a bit faster. But copying is way better than tracing if you're studying. Uh, then after enough tracing, put the image you want to redraw on the side and start. Oh, tracing also can help you like to lose your hand a bit. Maybe if if you are a bit tired or you haven't drawn for a bit, maybe tracing can help you get like in the zone. Hello, hello. So redrawing again and again. You don't necessarily have to draw the same drawing again and again and again, but um, my again, if you're trying to study the style, to get used to this to a specific style, copying a lot of drawings is very good. Honestly, to me, it's better than a lot of people when they want to learn the style or something. They kind of make a study of it, like I don't know, they make notes and stuff. That's kind of stuff never works for me, honestly. Maybe because I'm a bit of a blockhead. To me, it's way better to just draw a ton of drawings in that style, and I'll learn them like by uh, muscle memory or something, rather than looking very carefully and taking notes about stuff for the style. Just copying works better for me, at least. Okay. Else. I have so many stuff. Uh, Someone mentioned Bakemonogatari, and I have a ton of stuff of Bakemonogatari. These are one of the first keyframe books I bought. Look how thick this is. These 3 different books, full of Genga and a lot of Enshitsu corrections too. These ones helped me a ton when I was at school. I could reference a ton of stuff from this, and I learned a lot. And again, like these are very thick books, so you have a ton of information here. Again, I think I learned Japanese spacing charts from these books actually. I think this is where I actually understood what they were doing. There's no way we're going to go through all of them. I can show you very quickly. Oh, look at these scenes. It has like little comments here and there that you can translate with your cell phone. Again, a lot of Enchitsu, Sakan, some layouts. Not a lot, but there's a few of them. A lot of Genga. This one thankfully are in full color all the time. Wish they had some timesheets too. Probably not necessary. Some great drawings. Look at this. Sometimes you don't appreciate all of this stuff when they're on screen because all of the details are being muted by the color. But that's the thing with when I put a lot of emphasis about drawing with energy, it's because of this. Because every time your drawing goes through uh, any of the further processes like cleanup and corrections and Genga and final cleanup and color, every single one of those steps will make your drawing lose energy. So the first drawing you do should have a lot of energy so it doesn't become stiff and lifeless when it's on screen after all of those processes that eat away the energy. A lot of guts, blood. Great book. This ones I haven't opened for a while actually, more than a year. Great to see them again. You guys watched the last uh, season of Bakemonogatari? It was great. It was great. I'm always surprised that the quality of the animation and the story they just don't drop. Consistently very, very good. Put them all together. You know, I don't want to make a mess out of this. I'll have to put everything back on the chills when I finish. But this is not all because I have more. Look at this. Second volumes. These are actually four. And they're very, very heavy. These are four books, and I think this one is kind of special. I think this one is backgrounds. That I don't remember. Yeah, this one is uh background layouts. Also use this one a lot at school referencing. Cool. And look at the amount of work that it is making a series like this. Even when you're an animator and you do all the characters and stuff like that, you hardly can appreciate the amount of stuff that's done in pre-production and stuff you don't really touch as a freelancer animator, or even when you're at the studio. Again, if you guys want to take a more detailed look at any of the books that I'm going through, you can let me know. But if we look at all of them, we'll never finish. Oh, and I have more. I have even more Bakemonogatari, but this one are a bit more special. Look at this. This one was uh this was I think was Comic exclusive. You can probably not see it very well under the light, but it is from the movie. This is Monogatari animation. Look at that. This is from someone mentioned Joe Yoshinari. This is from his brother, Ko Yoshinari, which is actually my favorite Japanese animator because he does this stuff like that look like paint, which are very, very unique. Look at that. His effects are also amazing. It's also interesting that the movie has it's a very different style from the series. Look at these ones. These are crazy. They're crazy looking. Very, very exaggerated. Maybe if you guys are a bit older like me, you will remember that this movie was more than a decade in the making, kind of. Like they released a few teasers here and there, like 10 years apart from each other. But a lot of us thought that it was never going to happen, but thankfully it did. Again, these books are very useful when you want to like get used to what are keys, what are in between guides, extremes and stuff. Going through this kind of books is very useful for that. Especially because some of these books have no. I think most of them have no in betweens. They just show you these extremes and uh, breakdowns or in between guides. So you can get used to what you actually have to do. The key animator. Look at this ones; these are very funny. This was a beautiful movie. These cuts were very nice. And again, this book is pretty. It's not that easy to get because it was a it was a comic exclusive. I don't know what they do at like. They should just sell it as many times as they can. Kind of sad that maybe some people would like to have it and they can't because it was kind of exclusive edition. I don't really like that much. And it was not cheap to buy either. And I have a last one that's even rarer than the movie one, which is this one. This one is the key animation of the movie teaser or the I don't know if you guys watch Monogatari. In the very first chapter, there's kind of a prototype scene of the movie, but but it was made like 15 years before. So it's like another version of that movie. It's a very short teaser. And this is the key animation of that teaser. I think this was also a comic exclusive. You can see it looks way different than the movie. I actually copied this sequence at school. I did something very similar, and I had this book to look at it. I don't remember if I had the book or I just copied from the screen like frame by frame, but it was that same scene. Again, this book is kind of a curiosity because of how rare it is, but also very useful, very nice to look at. Especially again because it is kind of a different alternate version of the same story, like the same movie. It's nice to see both of them like 15 years separated. Very nice. Okay, that's all my Bakemonogatari stuff. I won't I won't push more Bakemonogatari on you for today. Okay, let me look at the chat. Okay, I'm catching up to your chat, guys. You guys have written a lot. I was saying The background art for Mushishi is amazing. Yes, it is, and I wish there was more materials about that. There's not. It's not really the background art, but there's this book of Mushishi that is um again not really the background art from the anime. It is uh the art from the manga, but in watercolors. There's this book that's kind of a very thick book. It is incredibly expensive. It's like $600, and it has been like that for more than a decade. I've never found that book any cheaper, and I still haven't bought it. But maybe I should, because it's literally one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen. Someday I'll have it. Someone's saying I would like to have some books with layouts from some Satoshi Kon movies. Oh, I'm going to show you something kind of like that in a bit. Maybe stay. Do you have books about 86? No. No, I don't. Maybe someday. Or should I say, how much do those books cost? A ton of money. I've collected these books for more than a decade already, and it's been a lot of money. These Bakemonogatari books, I don't remember how much this one cost. Probably more than $100. This one was very expensive. Uh, Probably like $150. And these ones were also super expensive, even back then, like 10 years ago. But again, these are very dense, so it's understandable that they're expensive. But almost any of these books cost less than $50. So you can kind of roughly calculate how much money it is. But again, over the years, like more than 10 years or 15 years collecting this kind of stuff, like it's kind of a spread, right? Interesting. Hopefully, thankfully, I got the large size Vampire Under the Bloodlust art book for just $20. That's crazy. Lucky. Um, I wish I had that book. I did. I don't have it. But for 20 pounds, that's crazy. Um, Someone's saying, what would you say is the good way to learn to draw characters on model consistently? Here's an interesting bit of information. Japanese animators, like I'm not Japanese, but people that work for the anime industry generally do not learn to draw the characters that they draw. How is that? If you watch Western documentaries like Disney stuff, you can see that um, some animators spend months trying to learn to draw this character very well, right? Well, in the anime industry, we don't really have that much time to do our job. Like most anime jobs last for like 2 weeks or a month, so we don't really have time to deeply study a character to learn to draw them. So what we do is we draw or layout or our animation, we have the sete right at the side. So we instead of actually learning to draw the character, we just copy it directly. Again, if you want to learn how I do that, basic drawing stream here in the same channel, I explain you how I do that. But it's basically that you have two options. uh, if you have time, you can actually study the character and I don't know, take notes and stuff like that. But if you are in a rush, like most of us, just learn to copy uh, and to draw your character while looking more at the sete rather than the thing you're drawing. It's kind of counterintuitive, but again, I explain all of that on the basic drawing stream. Well, hopefully you can take a look at that. Uh, Ulrich is saying, please, can you tell me when we should expect Animatsuki stream and Marshmallow's Q&A? Uh, I was going to read the marshmallows today, but we don't have a lot of them. We have like a just two more questions on the marshmallow. If you want to know, for the people that might not know, in the in the um, information under this stream, like on the YouTube channel, you have a URL that says like ask me some questions. You then you go to a site called Marshmallow, and you can ask me questions that I will answer eventually on stream. I probably won't do this in this stream because we won't have time. But we'll probably have one as soon as I set up at my parents' house, because as I said, like I'm going to be visiting my parents for a bit, and we have to figure out the internet. I think they bought a Starlink, which I have to figure out how it works. So it's probably going to be at least a week from now before I can stream stuff. But don't worry, like it will happen as soon as I can. Animaitsuki and others more of the usual stuff that we do. Okay. A lot of faces, really nice book. I haven't seen this anime before, but now I want these books in my collection. They're very good. Can see it glows a little too much. Yeah, I know, but man, I really worked hard trying to figure out the lighting of this. And it's already night, so I'm afraid if I turn off some lights, it will everything will explode. I'll try to make it a bit easier for you. The guy who did the VG designs for Monogatari is great. He worked on a lot of Ghibli movies too. Oh, if you have the name, you can tell me because I don't really know who that is. I was excited to see the stream. I hope you're doing well. Have you shared some effect books? Yes, I have. I showed the two elemental magic books at the beginning. Um, as I mentioned, very Western approach to effects animation, but also very very good books. Um, is there one that you would recommend for beginners? Yeah, the Survival Kit. That's the essential beginner's book. There are two Yoshinaris. Yeah, there are two, and they're very very different. As I said, my favorite is Ko Yoshinari, like the less known brother. Um, you can look at his stuff on YouTube. Like look for Ko Yoshinari, uh, Sakuga stuff, and there's a lot of material. I got the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero and Attack on Titan, some 4 key animation books from my lecturer. They're so good. Yeah, I think I have the Attack on Titan one too, but probably digital. Looks like I have a new series to watch, the Monogatari. Yeah, try to look at the order to watch that because it's kind of a handful. It's a ton of seasons. It's very very entertaining. Simple Sports is saying, "Wow, $600 is a lot for a book." Then again, I spent so much on animation production stuff already. Yeah, I agree. 600 bucks is a ton of $600 is a ton of money for a book. I wish it wasn't that wasn't the price, but maybe I'll have to pay that for it. You cannot memorize every character that you have drawn. Yeah, you cannot. At least I cannot. Maybe some smarter people can. Oh yeah, I remember Downtown said something similar about drawing. It's understandable. I can only draw my OC Yuki without reference because I draw her so much. And even I had a few where I was doing that. Yeah, it's kind of you know what's funny? A lot of animators have said like that sometimes when they meet fans or stuff, they ask them to draw a character, specific characters, and sometimes we get into trouble because we don't remember how to draw this character. A lot of people have told me the same. It has happened to me. Like sometimes people ask me to draw, I don't know, Asta from Black Clover because they know I worked on that. I really don't remember how to draw it. I remember some stuff, but probably whatever I draw it is not going to look a lot like him. And a lot of very experienced animators have told me the same. Like they ask them to draw certain characters that they just don't remember how to. Even when they are like very associated with those characters. Tony J is saying, "Bro, I appreciate your videos help heavily. No, I appreciate that you come watch the videos. Very cool to have you here." Ursula saying, "Holy, after watching the art of the Monogatari movies, now I want to animate." Yeah, right. Sometimes I just look at these books for motivation. Sometimes I'm so tired or burned about drawing stuff. Maybe drawing some boring stuff that I need to look at some good animation to get some motivation. Uh, Denzel is saying, I looked all over the every mandarake and a million bookstores in Tokyo, and I could not find many key animation books. That's weird. I actually found several in Tokyo, but maybe they are more available in the West. I don't know. No, probably not. Uh, a lot of these books came from um, Kinokuniya. I go there when I visit the US, LA mostly, and I buy these books on at the convention and at their store. So they have a lot of key animation books, uh, like constantly selling. A lot of these books also I also bought from Tokyo Otaku Mode, but that was like 10 years ago. I don't know if they still sell this kind of stuff, but I think they're not hard to find, honestly. Century saying, I've spent around 30,000 pounds on anime DVDs and Blu-rays down here. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, like DVDs and Blu-rays are actually expensive, so it's still an impressive sum. But I can't understand how you got there. Some Blu-rays are incredibly expensive. Like I wanted to buy the Onimai Blu-rays because I wanted the books because they come with books like some storyboard and some key animation stuff, and I just wanted the books, not the Blu-rays. But they were so expensive; like they were more than $100 each pack. Buttery saying, I just got back from Japan. There's a ton of them in Madarake, and I went to Nakano, Osaka, Tokyo, Fukuoka, Madarake, purchased a lot. Marshall is saying, do you have books from Studio Ghibli? Yeah, I actually showed a couple of them already. I showed the layout book, the layout collection, and I also have the Boy and the Heron book. That's what I already showed. Okay, what time is it? It's been 2 hours, and it's been 2 hours. We still have a lot of a lot of books to go through. What should I show you next? How about okay? I'm going to go through this one, and then we'll go somewhere else from here. This one is very cool. This is the animation from Spirits of the Sea. Did you guys watch that movie? I actually went to I watched this movie at the cinema, and guess what? It was really bad. um, all of the people have asked about this movie, and as I said, like I watched it too. No one really likes it. It's kind of sad, but it's kind of a weird movie. But but the animation of this movie is one of the most beautiful that I've ever seen. Like the animation is really really remarkable. Like look at this, those details. You guys can see, and it has some cool like pencil style like during the whole movie. It's really really beautiful. It's just that the story or the writing is kind of off. Incredible animation. And this book is very good because it also has timesheets. Let me see if I can turn off the light. We're going to do an experiment to see if it works. And I don't know if this. I think that's a bit better, right? Too too dark. How about that? Better? Children of the Sea. I've heard both names, Children of the Sea and Spirits of the Sea. But yeah, that is the same movie. I don't know if you guys liked it. Maybe we can discuss it. But again, I've asked a lot of people, and all of them say like, "Yeah, it wasn't that good." Kind of sad. Look at this timesheets. It's all timesheets. It's insane. This is a very very long sequence of this girl just running. Way better, right? It looks way better. Insane amount of drawings. Probably took like a year to do. This movie is from Studio 4C, by the way. I'm going to show you more Studio 4C. And look at the interesting thing about this movie that they managed to keep this uh pencil and paper texture during the whole movie. I don't know how they did it, but it looks pretty good. So show you some specific. But yeah, yeah. This is my favorite cut of the movie. It's just I think it is it's, it's probably not a like a still, but it almost doesn't move. But this drawing is beautiful. It looks very beautiful on screen. It's my favorite cut. Very very interesting style, and it looks as good on screen as it looks like. Again, if you can stomach the writing of the movie, it's totally worth watching. Okay. Children of the Sea, yes. Looks like Griffith. Yeah, a bit, I guess. And I was showing you Studio 4C because I wanted to come to this. I have a lot of Tekken Grid stuff. Have you guys watched this movie? Tekken Grid is my favorite anime movie ever, and it is directed by an American guy. He's the first Westerner to direct a movie in Japan. His name is Michael Arias, and the movie is just incredible, visually very incredible. It looks even better than the previous movie, The Children of the Sea, but it's like 20 years older, which is insane. And I have the whole collection of the Conking Creed materials. These are Sete and keyframe animation, and corrections and Genga. Osagon. Where'd you focus it? These books are getting very scarce. Uh, Last time I went to Kinokuniya, they only had one of these, and the other ones they are no longer available as far as I know. I'm going to show you in a bit. This movie is amazing. You guys should watch it if you haven't already. Again, very very particular character design, but Studio 4C knows how to pull these designs uh, off very good. And we have a lot of sete. These are very good setes. I tend to say that Japanese animation doesn't have excellent sete, but this movie is kind of an exception. Have very good, very clear sete. So a lot of rotations and very useful poses. People tend to forget that setes are they are a technical document. They are not supposed to be pretty and beautiful and to be put on a book. They're supposed to be useful uh, to work with. And I think a lot of people that do sete in Japan tend to forget that, and they make very like beautiful and artistic sete, but that are not that useful for the animator to use. And we have a lot of concept art, traditional media, very good stuff. So this is one, just one. Also have the backgrounds collection and the rough backgrounds collection. They're kind of similar, but this black one is more it's more of sketches of the backgrounds rather than finished painted backgrounds. Show you a bit. Very very detailed background layouts and setting. And the art of this movie is insane. Look at that. There used to be a documentary on YouTube about this movie. a very very good documentary that follows Michael Arias for like a year or more when they're trying to finish the movie and they're all suffering. It's a very good documentary. The last time I looked for it, I didn't find it. At least not with subtitles like it used to be. Maybe it's up again or somewhere else. I think it's available in Michael Arias' official Vimeo channel, but I think it didn't have subtitles like I wanted. This is the rough backgrounds one. Show you the bit. These are the ones that I say that are not that available anymore. So these are very old. The ones I'm showing you, they're probably more than 10 years. Here's the fully painted backgrounds. But backgrounds are beautiful in this movie. They're I think most of them are painted traditionally. It's just pastel colors. Again, for there's a reason why this is my favorite anime movie, even after all these years. Just saying. And it's not only beautiful, it not only looks beautiful, the movie is also very good. Like the story and the direction are impeccable. Tends to happen that movies sometimes are they look very beautiful, but they're not as good. And it's not the case. Look at that map. And the map is actually accurate to the backgrounds. Like they made it so they knew where the characters are at every part of the movie, uh, and the buildings match uh, to the background. Is insane. That also was part of the documentary. So if you guys can look for it, if you guys can find it, you should definitely watch it to see how much people suffer doing animation. It's funny because these guys were professionals. They were doing like a movie over like 5 years of work, and they were suffering just like we suffer at school when we're finishing our shorts every year, and we're all crying. At the end, they were going through the same stuff. What's the movie title again? The Conking Creep. It's a bit hard to write at the beginning, but you can take a screenshot. That's how it's written. And I have one last accounting Greek book. Sorry, but I told you it was my favorite. I have storyboards for the whole movie. Look at this. You would be surprised how precise they are to the movie. This one I had to get through the official site of the official store of Studio 4C. It's probably not available anymore because I bought it several years ago. Very, very good uh, storyboards. Very I don't want to say like information dense because that sounds kind of negative, but very precise. Very, very good study material too. Like if you get something like this and you watch it with the movie, it's very, very, very good to get used to what storyboards really are for. You can also learn some notations and interesting stuff too. Some camera work and cinema narrative in general. Excellent book. Good. Pretty foresee used to make really experimental and innovative. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they still are like very special, right? Watch it, yeah. Amazing movie, insane animation. See, some of the CD online has the color ref listed out, the RGB values on it. Could probably do some of my own there, but yeah, you can totally do that. Have that one too. Nice. I have a few anime souls. Mami, one and all. Oh yeah, if you go to anime conventions in the US, like Anime Expo and stuff, you can buy cells. Generally pretty expensive, but but you can get some interesting stuff there. You have to be careful with fakes though. I love that movie. That backgrounds are beautiful. Yes, amazing. Shinji Kimura did the backgrounds. Oh, that was the name of the guy. Yeah, I tend to forget the specific names of the Japanese animators, but I remember the context at least. I'm guessing you went to an animation school then. Yes, I studied animation for 5 years at school. I've had to conclude in Blu-ray since it was released, but I've never watched it. What? I haven't watched it. You have to watch it now. It's an amazing movie. It will change your life. I have a university deadline this week for my game programming class, so the suffering is relatable. Yeah, right. I guess video game people suffer kind of similar to us. Yeah, we're all suffering about animation projects. Oh man, I still have so many books to show you. It's already 11. Yeah, I mean, we have been here for 2 hours and a half. Are you guys up for like half an hour more? I won't be able to show you everything at all. I've shown you just a tiny fraction of what I have here. Not even my whole collection. You guys are good for half an hour more? Yeah. We can go quickly through some of the stuff I have. I don't have to show you like everything in detail, but what I have. I bought this ones at the last um, Anime Expo in LA. These are the storyboards for Akira, and there are two books, and these two books look almost the same. If you don't look carefully, you would think they're the same book. So I bought one thinking they were the whole storyboards. Then I opened it at my hotel, and it was only half, so I have to come back and buy the other one. I don't know what they did that. Uh, I can show you a bit of one of it. That's how you look at how the storyboards look. Oh, and it's very interesting that this the covers are plastic. It's kind of cool, more durable. These storyboards. They look a lot like the movie, actually. Like the final, they kind of look like layouts with a lot of instructions. Like sometimes I think I put a lot of instructions on my storyboards, but these guys beat me. Beautiful drawings for storyboard. Again, this is Otomo, so like that. You can get these storyboards online, by the way. They're pretty available. You can just get them pretty easily. But I wanted to have the books because I'm a nerd. there was also there was also a key animation book of Akira, like from this same series. A big book of key animation and corrections, and it even has some like simulated cells. But it was very very expensive. It was more than $100. I had already spent a lot of money on this ones, and I was with a friend buying these books, and she told me like, dude, if you want to see key animation, you can just watch the movie. And I was like, yeah. But maybe someday I'll buy it. I kind of regret it, but honestly, it was a lot of money. A bit too expensive. Dude, I'm doing a pile of books right here, and it's going to reach the ceiling eventually. Uh, More storyboards. Also, about this one's Perfect Blue from Satoshi Kon. Do you remember? I told you I was going to show you some Satoshi Kon stuff. I have Perfect Blue, Paprika, uh, Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress. This one isn't even open because I haven't watched the movie, so I don't want to read the storyboards yet, but I still bought it. And Paranoia Agent. And these are thick. Look at this. And dude, if you thought Akira's storyboards were detailed, just look at this. These ones are literally layout. It's insane. Well, Satoshi Kon used to be a mangaka, so he really enjoyed just drawing very detailed stuff like this. And he had time. Like I think these storyboards, like each storyboard for the movies took like 2 years. But he basically had 2 years to just do whatever he wanted. Good for him. They're insane. Like honestly, probably you don't need to do layout after this. Insanely detailed. A lot of digital stuff too. Like he added like textures and stuff. Very great. You don't generally need to be this detailed. Like he did it like this because he liked to have absolute total control over his stuff. But if you look at storyboards from Hayao Miyazaki, for example, they're not nearly as detailed as this, and they'll still work. So all of these books, there are one, two, three, four, five storyboard books. I think these are all the Satoshi Kon storyboard available. These were like these were almost $600, all from Kinokuniya in LA. Um, and I bought them because I saw them the previous year at the store, and I didn't buy them at the time because I I had to spend a lot of money then. But then I said like, oh man, I regret not buying them, and I came back next year and I bought them all. Are you noticing a pattern? I'm kind of a compulsive buyer of this, but I have the excuse that I actually use them for my work. So I know it's an excuse. uh, Let me look at the source. This chat. Should be in bed, but I want to keep watching. That's my. Oh, I always tell you guys that if you want to go to sleep, you totally should. But sleep. But you guys still behind. I have the key animation book of Akira. The cells are so beautiful. Yeah, right. They were very very cool. When I opened the book at the store. Yeah, I have the Paranoia Agent one at the store. Like at Kinokuniya, they have all of this books except um Perfect Blue. I had to buy Perfect Blue through Amazon, but they were all of these were available, ex- including this one. Look, some of the books I'll show you have something like this that says sample. It means that this was the last book at the store, and I've bought several of this already, and they have like some plastic protection because it's typically the one that people just manipulate a lot. But I have several of these that have this sample label. All these details just for the story. Yeah, right. I suck at controlling my spending. I spent £100 at Comic Con this year on books. Only £100. Just kidding, just kidding. Yeah, it's very hard when it's just stuff you like and collect, right? I wish we could have the storyboard of Zoro Nomiya of Paranoid Agent though. Oh, I haven't researched that. Look at that. The display copy and other works. Yeah, this is the display copy. Uh, did I show you the? Let me show you this one file. One is a little treasure of mine. This is the storyboard of the end of Evangelion. I should have shown you this one when I showed you the other books, but I wanted to get this one for a very very long time. But as far as I know, it was sold with a um it was sold with a Blu-ray box of the end of Evangelion. Not just a Blu-ray. It was a laser disc box, and I was able to buy this one at Nakano Broadway in Japan, and I was very very happy because I've wanted this book for years. And it's not only the storyboard for the end of Evangelion; it also has a couple of the last episodes. They're very very interesting to look at. Done by a lot of people too. Like not these are not just done by one person. but you have a lot of different styles. Look at them. Some of them are very, very rough. They're very funny to look at. There's some very funny faces. Look at that. It's so fun to read this while you're looking at the anime. Very fun and very very um educational, I guess. This sequence is so good. Did you? I'm going to tell you something funny. Did you watch my latest short? I did the teaser um for Face Connect for the VTuber agency. The teaser that they showed on the at the VTuber Awards a couple of days ago. And there's this cut where one of the well, there's a lock like an electronic lock, and it opens like it says open, and I literally copy the timing from this scene where Kaoru just opens the lock on this door. So it's literally an Evangelion reference. And I told my sound designer, like, just give me something that sounds like this. So yeah, you have a bit of a trivia there. Oh, this is actually my favorite cut in the whole series. This 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 couple of cuts when they're in Central Dogma and they like uh zoom into Ray, and she looks like this. This is my favorite cut of the whole series. And here it begins the movie. Again, very very cool, very good educational material, and also very good for motivation when you're just a bit burned of doing boring stuff because you have to. I just take a look at this and it gets a bit better, just a bit. Beautiful book. I really really like it. And one last storyboard. I'm going to show you one last storyboard before we go to something else. This one is also very special. This is the storyboards for Angel's Egg, which I got several years ago. And sometimes I'm just browsing stuff and I find stuff that I didn't know were available. Like I didn't know this existed before I, I saw it on the store at the store and I just had to buy it. The storyboards are beautiful. It's very this is Mamoru Oshii, I guess. It's very interesting to see how the style evolves from the storyboard to the movie sometimes, especially when movies have this very specific art direction. Like the characters sometimes do not look like they end up looking at the on screen, but still you can kind of see an approximation. Again, this is very very interesting to read while you're watching the anime. Very very beautiful book. I just noticed that the music is not on. Did you guys notice that we don't have any music? Sorry if it's been a bit awkward, but I just noticed like 2 hours and a half later. beautiful. I really, really like this book, and I keep it very protected. Original tag. And I'll read. uh, Actually, the same, but for real, approximately how much did you spend in total? In total, like all of my collection, impossible to know. Honestly, I have no idea because, as I said, like I've spent this money over more than a decade, several $1,000s. I When I go to the US, I generally go every year to LA to the Anime Expo. I generally spend between 500 and $1,000 in books every year. So you can kind of calculate from that. But yeah, it's a ton of money. I'm not gonna lie. But it is for a good cause, and I enjoy it, and I I find a use for each one of these books. So this what that's what I told to my parents. Tempest Sparks is saying it's fun seeing the notes and the goofy drawings in storyboards. Yeah, right. I also do like funny drawings sometimes at the stories when they're useful, right? You don't like do jokes and stuff on the storyboards unless you need it. But yeah, they're very funny to look at. Especially saying, be honest, we won't judge. No, honestly, I have no idea how much money I've spent on this. You can try to calculate though. But as I said, like what I've shown you already is just a tiny fraction of what I have. I have way more books, and not only animation books. I also have like animation adjacent books that don't really come to the topic. Like I don't know, I have a ton of illustration books. I have a lot of photography books. I have some big, enormous books about I don't know Leonardo da Vinci and other famous painters and stuff. But again, they're not very animation related, but more adjacent. So yeah, you have even more money there. Studio Trigger storyboards are so missing. I don't know if I've watched so many Studio Trigger storyboards. I've seen a lot of Gainax storyboards. But Studio Trigger, I haven't looked too much at them. It's so funny to compare the storyboard of Evangelion to the Paprika one. Yeah, right. But the thing is, the storyboards for Evangelion are still very good storyboards. Like, yeah, okay. Sometimes the guy just gets tired of drawing like the character, and he just draws like a stickman, but still very clear of what's happening. Very clear in terms of emotion and what the cut is about. They're still very good storyboards, even if they look kind of rough and goofy compared to something insane like Paprika. That's what you have to have in mind. Like the Satoshi Kon storyboards that I show you, they are insanely detailed. Like they are the exception. Most storyboards for anime kind of look like the Evangelion ones. Speaking of Studio Trigger, a friend of mine owns a storyboard for for a Evo episode Okay, let me see some of the photos from. Yeah, there are a few goofy. Oh, Little Witch Academia. There's a few goofy Ako. It was meant to be music. Yes, there was meant to be music, but now it makes no sense to just turn it on. I just didn't notice that we didn't have it. Okay. What else I can show you before we leave? Because I'm getting a bit sleepy, honestly. Especially now that we don't have any light. I can barely see. You guys can see here, but I'm in the dark here, so I'm getting kind of sleepy. Look at this one. This one was I was very happy I found at the con at the um, Anime Expo LA this year. I bought this one. These are the whole setes of Sakura Card Captor, the series. It's the whole thing. Every character, every outfit, and every I don't know hairstyle and everything. All of the um, all of the props. It's insanely detailed and it's heavy. It doesn't look much bigger than the other books, but somehow it is heavier than all of the other books. It's insane. I bought this the day before the con opened, actually, because as industry you can enter the con while they are organizing and there's no public. I went in to buy books before the con opened and I was able to get this one. It's really really beautiful. I was very happy I could get this. Tomoyo, it's the best girl, of course. So many outfits, everything here. Now that I look at this now, like the proportions are very funny for all of the characters. Really, it's very interesting to me to look at the kids because a lot of the times in modern anime when they draw kids like girls or boys, they make them look like tiny adults. Like they don't really have kid um, proportions. You guys probably know, maybe you have noticed that kids, when they are at this age, like 10-year-old or something, kids generally have very weird proportions because they're in the middle of growing, right? Like, for example, this is the age when girls are taller than boys, and they have like very long legs stuff. And these ones, this kind of look like real kids, and that's very interesting. I don't know if that was the intention, but they somehow managed. And the models in general, they're so good. The drawings are so well balanced, even for the amount of seti they have. They are all very very good. Like the quality doesn't drop at all in any of them. Look at this. And these are old materials. These are like 30-year-old materials, maybe a bit less, but almost 30-year-old already. They're so clean and so well made. A lot of illustrations too. Very, very beautiful. My arm is getting tired because, as I said, like this book is so heavy. A lot of background sete. This was also very good for reference if you guys need. Thankfully, this book is very new, so you can probably get it in a lot of places. Like it's not scarce at all. Very, very beautiful book. I think it even has some storyboards at the end. Yeah. Before I found this book, I didn't know there were Sakura Card Captor storyboards available. Very, very interesting to look at. Just a few storyboards were still nice to have. some do's and don'ts of drawing characters. I worked on a magical series anime once. I won't tell you which one, but there was some instructions that said like, uh, if you think you draw the eyes okay, just draw them bigger, just to make sure, because they have to be bigger. So just draw them bigger. Okay, I'll show you just a couple more books, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. Okay. Uh, um, what is this book called? Like the Sakura Card Captor one? Uh, TV animation Card Captor Sakura Archives. If you were referring to this one, again, very new book. So hopefully you can get it. It's very useful. This one I bought at Kinokuniya two months ago. These are the key animation of one of the latest Lupin III movies. These movies are insane. The animation is very detailed, like compared to the previous Lupin movies, and they're very like very serious looking. Like, well, if you look at Lupin the Third, like old stuff, like they're sometimes very goofy. These are very like violent and grim. They're super cool. And I was very happy I found this one. I wish I had the other ones though. I don't know if they exist because there's several movies. I just got one, but the other movies are also amazing. Like the ones from this series, like 3 or 4 movies. A lot of materials. Um, Layout, Genga, Sakan and Sosakan. At that drawings. Sometimes I'll be good enough so they will put some of my stuff in a book. I got close once. There's a very scarce book of Wonder Priority uh, animation, like Sakan stuff. Um, one of the cuts I did ended up there, but only the Sakan, not the layout, and I was very sad about that. But at least that's the closest I've been to being featured in a book. But the Sakan got it, not me. It was very funny though. Funny when I this one is also a recent purchase. This is the Berserk um, Sete and some animation. I haven't watched this series yet, but every time I mention it to some of my friends, they look very sad because I think that the series ended up not being like they wanted. I think so. I've heard. I have no idea honestly. But I tell them like, it looks so cool. Like why is it so bad? And they were like, no, not that great. I think that's kind of the curse of the Berserk adaptations. But look at the drawings; they're beautiful. So I wonder why is it not that good if it looks like this. And someone was saying like this character looks like Griffith. Like you have the real Griffith. The cities are also very good. And I think this book is not that new, because I've seen it around a couple of times. Very good settings, like rotations and stuff. Like I wish more animes gave you character rotations, but it's so hard to get a good rotation from a Japanese setting. I prefer to do like fancy poses so they can put it on the book at the end, but they are not that useful for the animators. But yeah, I don't know why people do not like this adaptation, but I'll find out someday. Uh, um, do this one very quickly. This one is kind of another little treasure of mine. This is an illustration from Goto. These are illustrations from Goto Keiji. Goto Keiji is the uh, character designer for Martian Successor Nadeshiko, one of my favorite series and movies, and it was on sale. And I think people look at this and they don't know what it is, but it's actually very special. I also bought this one on at the Anime Expo. As I said, like it was on sale, and I just couldn't believe it. And the thing about Goto Keiji is that he does this very detailed illustrations, but it's all cel shaded. Like there's almost no like paint effects or gradients, almost none of that. It's just like just incredibly detailed cel shaded stuff. And I really like that because I'm very terrible at painting. Like doing like traditional illustration, I'm not that good at that. So having this as a reference to make like more complex stuff with cel shading is great. These posters from the movie are so good. Does this character look familiar, by the way? Freeren is 100% based on this character. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. It's almost the same. They even have the same colors on their clothes. So you cannot tell me that Freeren is not uh, based on this character at all. And funny thing, like when Freeren came out, like she was like on the top of the of the female charts for characters in Japan, and this character Ruri was on the top during the 90s when it came out, when the movies and the series came out. She was on the top, so it's always the white haired girl that ends up at the top of those charts, like Rei Ayanami too. Like it's always the same archetype of character, like white hair, kind of emotionless character. I just like that for some. But yeah, amazing book that I was very lucky I found. Incredibly detailed stuff with cell shading. We have a couple more books to go. Looks like free. Yeah, yeah. But Keiji Goto style is way more stylish though. Yes, and Keiji Goto has some very stylish stuff. In these books, you can also see them, but you don't really have much time. You can just Google them. Very 90s stuff uh, from Goto Keiji. Very interesting style. Um, I think we can finish with some more more tame stuff. I have some beautiful background books here that I want to show you. These are this is the background noise from Land of the Lustrous. from Studio Orange. Concept art and backgrounds. And it's funny because this anime was kind of a technological masterpiece on 3D, but the concept art and the backgrounds were they had a lot of traditional stuff, like actually hand painted stuff. Very, very beautiful. I wish it had more seasons, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I actually talked to someone who went to Studio Orange to do some interviews, and I asked him like, "Are they doing Land of the Lustrous like the season 2?" And he was like, "I don't think that's going to happen. I think they don't have money to do it. Like, even though this anime was so beautiful, I think they didn't get a lot of money from it. So it's probably they probably do not have investors for it. Which is so sad because it's a very, very beautiful anime. Probably Beastars makes way more money than very, very beautiful backgrounds and concept art. This one. Look at the colors. I just noticed that it says volume 1. So I wonder if what the volume 2 is. I never noticed that before. And now I have to Google it. And maybe I have to spend more money on something else. And it's from 2017. Like it's been a lot of years since this came out. Still, I really love this series. And if they let me, I would direct the series for free. Like they can just give me some food and some toilet paper, and I'll work a couple of years making this series for free. Like, it needs to exist. Okay, these are the final ones I want to show you. Their backs, so damaging. Some of you that wanted more background stuff. These are Kazuo Oga artworks from Studio Ghibli and other stuff. Kazuo Oga is like on a level on its own when it comes to painting. Like I've never seen stuff like this from anyone else. He can make these atmospheres from very, very few um like pieces of paint. Like, I don't know how to phrase it, but this I think he even has a video of him doing this exact piece on YouTube. You should totally watch it. It's incredible. And he's been the art director for a lot of the Ghibli films. Incredibly beautiful backgrounds. This is Mononoke. Wait, it even has some like tutorials and stuff. Uh, poster colors, sneaker poster colors. You can get this pretty easily in Japan, but you kind of have to know how to use them to get this results. Not like just buying the paints. And again, if you buy this in Japanese with your cell phone, you can translate all of this pretty easily. Google Lens has become very, very good at translating visually. This is Pompoko, I guess. Yeah. As I said, like Kasuoga is like on its own level when it comes to the to backgrounds. Um, Whisper of the Hearts, I guess. 1995. So old. I tend to forget how old these movies are. 2001. One of the That's one of the ways that you know that a movie is like the quality is top notch because they can be this old and they still look modern. This is one of the things that actually impressed me from Studio Ghibli um, movies. I'm sometimes very critical of Ghibli or Miyazaki or some stuff for specific reasons, but I cannot stop like recognizing that it's incredible that these guys are so old. Like Miyazaki is like 80 years old or something like that. They're still able to make movies that are uh, incredibly they look modern 20 years after. Like that's incredible, really really incredible. And um that's for Studio Ghibli in general. Like Takahata too. Like his movies, if you watch his movies like 20 years later, they still look very modern. And I know this. I said this was one of the last ones I want to show you, but and I made a mistake. I piled up my books over the one of the ones I wanted to show you. See if I can get this some of this off without killing myself. I have like 100 kilos of books. No joke. Be able to read this one. Have you guys seen this one before? This is actually also a bit of a special book, kind of rare. This is uh, The Art of Makoto Shinkai, but for the older movies. And what's actually special is that this one is in English, which is, as I said, kind of rare. You can find this book around, like on stores or the internet, but it's generally in Japanese. This one is fully translated, and I didn't know it was rare until I began looking, like finding it around, but only in Japanese. And it has a lot of information from the um, period of Makoto Shinkai that I appreciate the most. Honestly, I liked his art way more before he became like really really famous. um, I learned from I learned about Makoto Shinkai like 15 years ago, um, while going to um, my first university. Now you can know how old I am. But at university, I had a friend that was very into Makoto Shinkai when he was not famous yet. Like he was kind of famous, but he was still underground, like kind of an underground artist. At that time, Makoto Shinkai was famous because he was like the guy that made movies by himself. Like that was uh where he was recognized at the time because he made like these shorts and this these movies like in After Effects. Like there's um this period before he was like the most famous anime director, which was crazy to me that that ever happened. But at that time, his art was way more um, characteristic than what it is now. Like you can totally see one of these backgrounds anywhere, and you know that it was Makoto Shinkai at that time. Now with the new movies, I feel like he lost a lot of that. Um, Now I see Makoto Shinkai's movie, and they are very beautiful, but I feel that any studios can do something similar with enough money. But before, you could totally recognize Makoto Shinkai's stuff uh, just by looking at it. And again, this book is in English. It has a ton of information, and it even has. I'm going to show you at the end. I'm going to show you now. It even has some tutorials, which is crazy. Because these books never have tutorials, but this one has. It explains you what he uses. Uh, Look at this. These are ancient stuff, like very very old Macintosh stuff, and a very ancient Wacom. And he explains you how he layers stuff over photographs. That's how they used to do it at the time. They would take photographs and they would just paint over them to make the backgrounds. And he kind of explains you about layers and stuff. But these ones are actually pretty interesting to read. Even if they don't use this method now, I don't know if they do, but I don't think they still do it like this all the time. But it has some very, very old 3D stuff. I remember they used a software called Lightwave that even when they were using it at that time, like 10 years, not 15 years ago, it was already an obsolete software. They just used it because they had some like spare license around. But even at that time, it was already obsolete. But they still managed to make like cool stuff with totally outdated software. And it has a lot of interviews and a lot of text. Look, very very cool. So this book is kind of special to me. Printed in Canada. Yeah. Again, kind of rare to find it on in English. Uh, and I think that's pretty much it. At least from the books I had laying around. As I said, like I have a ton more of books about a ton of other stuff, but we would be here for days looking at them. You guys liked it? I don't know if we're going to do anything like this for some time again. But if you guys enjoyed it, that makes me very happy. Now let me read your comments. I know you have been writing for a long time. Reader, works the same. In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity? This is like the hand in the glove hovering above the books. At least it is true that man has no control. One takes possession of a book to master knowledge. Man, I think we're all kind of sleepy, right? Gotta buy them all. Despite this book, volume 2 and resell it to him for a higher price. Just because of that, I'm not going to tell you the books I'm looking at right now at the store. Just so you don't snatch them from. Have that one too. Which one do you have? I think there's a documentary on YouTube where he paints the cover of the book. Yep, exactly. That's the Kazuo Oga video. That's a very, very good video. I hope it's still available. Arshel is saying, do you know if Made in Abyss has art books? They do. They have several art books actually. They have a background art book and several storyboard books. Sadly, I do not own any of those. I tried to buy them in Japan, but they were not very available. Sadly, I'll eventually get one or the other. Probably the background one. As I said, I've seen them around, but I wasn't able to buy them at the time. Yeah, he has a way of painting that's somewhat steel detail. Yeah, right? Like, Kazuo Oga's painting style is very, very. I feel like this book is all the background art, right? I have no idea. He has a lot of personality, but I think it's because he used to be alone a lot. But now he has a huge staff. Can feel the can feel the direct touch anymore. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if that's the case. I know that on his previous productions, like the older they are, the more alone he was on the production, right? Like the one when there's this girl in space, like this one. This one he made it by himself, like totally by himself. So I understand that his style is all over the place, but the more he advanced, the more staff he had, right? Like for this these movies, he already was with Comics Wave. So yeah, like I understand he might have lost that style with the staff, but I also think Makoto Shinkai did the conscious decision of be a bit more generic for the sake of marketability. I think he made that decision because it's very noticeable in the way his stories have changed. Not only the art, but his stories. He used to be a way more contemplative guy before. Like come on, like 5 centimeters per second is just contemplation of sadness and stuff. Like nothing like the current movies. Nothing at all. Very, very different. You would say it's two different people. But yeah, I still appreciate looking at his old stuff. Very good for referencing backgrounds too. If you sometimes have to do your own backgrounds or send references to other artists, like I do all the time, this stuff is always very useful. 5 centimeters per second and the Garden of Words is still the most interesting Shinkai movies. Yes, I agree. I like the Garden of Words way more. I think that's probably the only Makoto Shinkai movie I actually like. The Garden of Words. I think that's a good movie, like a movie I really enjoy watching. The other ones, they're interesting to me because of the art, like 5 centimeters per second, for example. But I don't think I've finished 5 centimeters per second ever without falling asleep. It's just not for me. Just not for me. And then the new movies, I don't really like them that much. Um, I enjoy them for a while, and then as they do some weird turn and stuff like that, and stop watching them. But again, very very interesting always for the art and sometimes like the technology and the type of cuts they can do with all of their money. uh, Looking through books, speedrun when? Just kidding. Speedrun, like we've been here for like 4 hours. Yeah, it was really cool. Gave me a lot of inspiration. Give it an animator. Nice. Maybe you're being frozen. Made me think of Dream was broken. No, the reason my model gets frozen is because we're very dark here, and because I have to like turn to look at the chat, and the camera stops like sensing my face. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to show you for now. Did you enjoy this 3 or 4 hours of looking at the books? It was very nice to have you guys. Like I was surprised there was a lot of people watching. I thought that it was going to be like grow up, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, as I said, I'm going to be traveling for a bit to visit my parents. I don't know how long I'm going to stay there, but eventually we'll catch up with stuff like the Animaitsuki and other um, more normal streams. I just wanted to do this before leaving, because I wouldn't have my books then, and we eventually might find other stuff to stream kind of like this. You guys can always suggest me stuff like on the Discord if you have some fun idea. But yeah, it was it was very fun to have you guys here. Uh, Hope you liked it, and hope maybe you found some books that you wanna read or you wanna buy. Hopefully, you'll not buy all of these books and be uh, in debt forever. I'm not in debt, but yeah, I've spent a ton of money on this over the years. Uh, but they make me happy. I think that's important. Merry Christmas. Yeah, right. We're very close to Christmas. I almost didn't notice. Yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you guys too. I might not. I don't know if I'll be able to stream before Christmas or New Year, but just in case. Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys have a good time with your families and friends. And yep, I'll be seeing you around uh, on the Discord or here when it's the time to stream again. Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming. See you guys around, and have a nice day, weekend, and what's left of the year. See you guys. Bye bye. You see, now we have music. I just forgot to activate it on the HandCam scene.